Welcome back, everyone, to another Company Fears 2 replaycast. And this time we're going to have a 2v2 between Layard playing as the Soviets, Crossfire also playing as the Soviets, and on the enemy team we're going to have Tobis as the Wehrmacht and Hooligan as the UKW, Beansbennen. So this is, of course, in Crossing in the Woods, in case you did not realize this already, and the map is as follows. 2 field points on the opposing ends of the map, in case you do not, of course, know the map. Both of them with a building. It's kind of covering it, and that has to be captured by either side if they want to actually hold the area, especially in the early game. A couple of munitions right at the center, and of course the river plus the VPs in the central dividing line, making sure that you have that delicious negative cover to get your troops all shut up while they capture the VPs. So it looks like Hooligan is actually going to try to go for a Kübelwagen. I like the Kübelwagen, especially on a map like this. There's a lot of open ground that it can be used in, and it's going to provide a nice little bit of fire support and capping power. For the Germans, of course, we have Tobis with an MG42, of course, from the HQ. Quite a good pick. Again, lots of line of sight to use this machine gun on, and he's going to lure in the Penals. Very, very nice job with Grenadiers. Layard thought that he could take out the easy engagement against the Grenadiers, and the MG42 shut him down quite quickly. On the left side, we're going to have another engagement between Crossfire's Penal Battalion plus an engineer versus all these Sturmtiger. They're going to jump into the building and then get behind to avoid being detected and avoid taking fire in the meantime, while he brings up more forces. Of course, these Volksgrenadiers, of course, they're going to be able to repel the Volksgrenadiers with the Penal Battalion plus something else, but there's more reinforcements coming in for the OKW. OKW also pushing right up to the cutoff point with the Kübelwagen. Very, very good. Well played by Hooligan. If he does not lose the Kübelwagen, it is going to be a good little bit of resource interruption for the Allies. And overall, the Allies are doing decently in the engagements, but they're being pushed back overall when it comes to territory, even though we do have an engineer setting up in the building, but that's going to be it's going to be forced away by the Grenadiers and behind the truck. And of course, nice collaboration between Hooligan and Tobis. Tobis is going to have to repair the Kübelwagen while the Sturmtiger are actually busy doing other things at the field point. So pretty good if they're going to repair the Kübelwagen and let it come back into the action a lot quicker than it otherwise would have been able to do. So good coordination plus pretty decent map control for the Germans. However, there's quite a lot of penals on the field. It's going to be very difficult to deal with for the Germans right now. The Kübelwagen is actually kind of getting destroyed by the penals, so it's going to have to retreat back to base. In the meantime, the only side in which it looks like the Germans are going to be able to hold their gains is the left side, where they managed to force away Crossfire, partially because Crossfire had to send in reinforcements to the right side. Reinforcements which right now are getting pushed away savagely by the Volksgrenadiers. So kind of a fluid battleground right now, both sides kind of going everywhere and pushing in reinforcements on both sides. So not really a lot of the 1v1 plus 1v1 action, just a standard old-fashioned 2v2 where players are seemingly helping each other out. And yeah, that's going to be okay for some, pretty bad for others, just these folks which right now are getting demolished at close range by the Penals. Overall, these Penals definitely getting a lot of work in, but at this point, we're going to see some German light vehicles, hopefully, to reverse this trend of penal spam, because if they let the penals do their work, then the German infantry is going to have to basically suffer. And right now, good play once again with the Grenadiers baiting in the penals and then using the machine gun to pin them down and force them away. So pretty good plays once again by Tobis using his machine gun at the exactly correct times. Although that was a misclick. There's a sniper, which is the counter. Of course, Layard going for that sniper because he wants to destroy the machine gun. Plus, of course, versus the Germans, the Soviet sniper is quite good because the Soviet sniper has 2 men in it. So if the Germans do go for a counter sniper, then they're gonna have to contend with double the size of the squad, and the Soviet sniper can just one-shot the German sniper in that regard. Nice flank coming in with the Penals. So Crossfire going all the way around the sort of extreme edges of the map to get behind this machine gun. Right now, though, the problem is that, of course, the Storm Pioneers are going to be able to very, very easily destroy the Penals at close range. Another engagement on the right seems to have gone into the favor of the Allies, thanks to the support partially of the Sniper, which has 2 kills. So overall, the Allies are doing decently, considering that they've been pushed back into the base, into the corner, proverbially. Proverbially and figuratively. Right now, they only have, well, they don't have any VPs, so right now, yeah, it's not going all that well for them. If they can use their sort of resurgence thanks to the Penals, then maybe they're going to be able to recapture one of these VPs, and that's going to be pretty much very, very important. And right now, yeah, Hooligan managed to kill the Sniper with the Cube Wagon. Of course, he lost the Cube Wagon, but I think that was a very, very worth sacrifice. A good trade overall for the Germans, because that Sniper could have been immensely annoying for them. And so getting the kill is, of course, going to be quite good. And that also kind of slows down the Allies. Again, they don't have any VPs, so right now they absolutely need to do something to regain some VPs. Right now, they're ticking down pretty much quicker than they can think. And they're already down to 400, but just a couple of minutes of that triple cap. So overall, they need to do something about all this, and they're trying to do that by massing their forces on the left. So going 2 players into one area, double teaming this area with, of course, the support of both the Sniper and the Clown Car is going to be the correct choice, I think, for the Soviet players. Right now, they need to get a bit of extra foothold on the map in basically any of these areas. It doesn't really matter if they lose a couple of points on this side. If they can capture the left side and hold it, then they're going to be back into this game relatively, and then they're going to be working to get the sort of later assignments done and dealt with when the time comes. But as of right now, the priority again is to get that control over at least one side of the map. And right now, finally, we have Panzerfaust coming in from the Germans. So of course, Mechanized Regiment Headquarters with the double tier 1 that the Soviets went for is, of course, a good pick. And the Germans, yeah, in terms of teching, they are teching up. We have Panzer Grenadiers coming in from Tobes. Interesting choice. I mean, versus a lot of Penals, you'd think that instead of Panzer Grenadiers, you would want to try to go for a scout car, maybe, to try to help out with the long-range vehicle. But I don't know. It's an okay choice to go with that Panzer Grenadier, because they're going to be very, very much helpful to the Grenadiers at close range. They can defend them from Penal flanks pretty well, and they can defend the MG as well from flanks from the Penals, but overall they're not going to be all that effective considering their price, which is 340 manpower. We have to think about the Soviet attacking as well. Right now, as you can see, the Soviets are pushing up to the base for the Axis, so doing basically to the Axis what the Axis were doing to them, but we have the problem. The problem is the Lukes. Right now there's no AT on the side of the Allies. There's of course the satchel charges from the Penals, but those need to be popped when they're very, very close to the enemy vehicle. For example, right now, a good flank from these Penals might have gotten in a satchel charge, but good reactions from Hooligan, just very, very elegantly dancing away from the Penals with the Lukes and making sure that it was at a safe enough distance so that it would not get itself destroyed by satchel charges. Crossfire does have enough munitions to throw quite a lot of those, so he might have been able to destroy it had the Lukes gone in close enough. And the right side, which had been recaptured by the Germans with just looks like a couple of engineers, maybe some extra harassment forces, was recaptured by the Allies. But with the Lukes coming in, yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to hold on to that position for much longer. Interestingly enough, we had looks like a wipe on a Grenadier squad. Yeah, Grenadier squad getting wiped, and a Penal battalion picking up an MG42. This is, of course, very, very dangerous for the Axis. But with, again, the Lukes on the field, all of that anti-infantry from the Penals is kind of neutralized for the moment. If of course, Lukes can pick up quite a bit of kills while there's no AT in the field for the Allies. The Allies, which are going for vehicles right now, as you can see, both are Soviet players getting into tier 3. Crossfire is more likely to stay in tier 3 than Layard. Layard is sub in industry, so he would benefit very greatly from going with a lot of T-34s because of course, the repair stations allowing them to repair themselves quite a lot faster than they normally would be able to. Also, the extra supply drops coming in to give them some extra fuel are going to be very helpful. And right now, the Lukes is coming in with the Vengeance, going to be able to almost destroy the Sniper. Probably not going to be able to chase him down to the base because of the threat of the Penals. Right now, let's see the Fog of War. What does it see? Yeah, it does not see a lot. It is going to try to, however, finish off the Sniper, and is going to be successful at that. There's also another engagement coming in on the right side. All these Penals are getting quite a lot of damage off on the German forces in the area. That's going to prompt the Lukes to fall back. That, of course, plus the Allied presence at the base. But of course, as you can see, all throughout the map, the Germans are taking control over the right side, and they have managed to regain some of these points on the left. So this is not going all that well for the Allies once again. The VP situation is very much in favor of the Germans, and right now, as you can see, this Penal Battalion is going to have to retreat, which is going to not be the best thing because it's going to run straight into the jaws of the Panzer II Lukes. Overall, T-70 is on the field for the Allies, and while a Grenadier squad just went down, the T-70 is not going to be enough to counter the Lukes one-on-one, and that's going to lead to a German-dominated center as well as a German-dominated right side. Unless these Penals can get a nice satchel charge off. Can they? Kind of... Oh, the Lukes being very aggressive to get the finishing shots off on the scout car is going to actually go into the range of these Penals. These Penals incredibly lazy and not throwing the satchel charges. They had a couple of opportunities to throw the satchels, but didn't. That was kind of sad. Rickenriffer is on the field, of course, for Hooligan, so he can support his Lukes against any kind of allied armor that might be trying to hunt it down. And that's, of course, a very, very smart choice because we do have a T-34-76 being built by Layard. T-34-76 is an excellent choice right now. He needs the extra bit of AT support versus the Lukes, which is more like a light anti-vehicle support. So the T-34 with its not stellar penetration is going to be just fine against the Lukes. And also, of course, it is extremely effective against German infantry and can provide a lot of utility support for the infantry. It can also cap once it gets to bed 1. And again, with the Soviet industry having the repair stations, you can build up those repair stations and kind of repair this thing and get it back into the field very quickly. One of the problems with the T-34 is that its armor is very, very weak, so you have to repair it pretty much all the time. If you have repair stations up, that reduces the downtime of the T-34 and allows you to use it more efficiently all throughout the game. In the meantime, however, there's still more triple cap going on for the Germans, and it looks like they're going to be able to basically control the right side for now. While on the left side, we have a little bit more of a fluid situation because the T-70 is over here. And the T-70 is going to be able to just very, very, very easily smash those Volksgrenadiers, pushing them back to where they come from, back to Germany. And the Lukes is going to be the only thing stopping the hordes of Allied infantry from just invading the left side of the map and keeping control of it for the Union. However, the Lukes is also going to be supported by the Rickenriffer and lots of other German units. Ooh, that's quite a bit of an investment in AT guns. We have another Rickenriffer and a PaK-40. So lots of manpower being sunk into anti-tank weapons. Possibly not the best choice considering what the Allies are going for. Clearly not being vehicle spam, although we do have a Su-76 coming in and another T-34. So definitely the Germans are going to like having those AT weapons soon enough. Just considering the information that they have available, maybe so many AT guns might have not been the best choice, and especially considering the fact that they're facing the Penals. Interesting satchel charge. Especially considering that they're facing the Penals, they might have wanted to go a little bit of extra anti-infantry to help deal with those and continue the map control steamroll that they have going right now. Right now, the T-34 isn't doing all that well. As you can see, it's still kind of struggling to get outside the base. Every time it does, it just gets blammed into the face by the AT guns, and it isn't going to be able to do all too much. However, one option for the T-34 would have to be to go onto the left side, where surely there's less AT guns than on the right side, where the T-34 has been making its appearances right now. There's another T-34 on the field, which gets an excellent first shot off on these Volksgrenadiers, And right now, it seems like the anti-tank defenses of the Germans are crumbling. We have one of the AT guns, the Pack, which is very low on HP and goes down. The Raketenwerfer using the ability to retreat to get the hell out of Dodge. That only leaves one Raketenwerfer to be in charge of the anti-tank protection for the German army, and this is not enough. As you can see, the swarm of Penals is pushing through thanks to the support of the vehicles. And plus, using a lot of satchel charges, they are able to do quite a lot of damage to these infantry units for the Germans. And right now, there's a Schwer Panzer headquarters that gets set up right as we speak, essentially, as the units were fighting. Very luckily, the Allies were not able to get extra damage off. The Su-76 right now is taking fire from the Raketenwerfer, which snuck past all the other Allied units, but thanks to the T-70 light tank and the Penals, the Su-76 was just barely saved from a very sneaky death. And yeah, overall, very lucky for the Schwer Panzer headquarters that it was able to set up right there, because if it had been a little slightly bit later, then the huge concentration of Allied forces pushing throughout the road would have been able to destroy the Schwer Panzer headquarters. But as it stands, that's a victory for the Allies overall, definitely. They were able to push back the the Axis AT. Ooh, excellent line, and this T-34-76. Yeah, it's gonna die. Its days are pretty much numbered. Very, very nice. Mine plus Raketenwerfer, this is exactly how you want to do it. You don't want to just have mines there for the lulz. You want to also have something that can follow up on the mine and destroy the sort of damaged enemy units. Finish them off and give them a mercy kill. However, the follow-up from the infantry might not be the best, considering we have these Penals coming in and pushing back, killing the Raketenwerfer crew, and doing all of that. The right side is being once again actually harassed by some engineers, which is of course a very good choice. And right now the Lux is up to Vet 4 with 30 kills, so it's about to reach that critical Vet 5 with the suppressing fire ability. Only 10 munitions to get suppressing fire on the MG, turning it, or on the MG, on the Panzer II Lux, turning it effectively into a killing machine and a mobile machine gun. And sorry, I need to do something. Okay, I'm back, and let's take stock of what's going on, because it's been a while. Okay, so we have lag. Anyway, a little bit of a kerfuffle. Let's we say, yeah, just a couple of Su-76s trying to take out the Lux, but they were pushed back by the Raketenwerfer, thankfully for the Germans. Now we have a couple of Penals trying to defend the area against the German infantry push, along with the T-70. T-70 has reached Vet 2 and was using that recon mode. So lots of Soviet armor in the area, going to prevent any further German pushes, but of course it doesn't mean that the Allied infantry can actually make a headway against the Germans. And to help that, it looks like Layard is going for a Katyusha. Probably a very good choice. Ooh, this is going to be bad for the Germans, taking a lot of losses and being forced back by the Penals, plus the cavalry comes in and just completely mops them up. They may even be able to wipe out one of these squads. They do actually wipe out one of the Grenadiers, so only one Grenadier squad left for Tobis. And it is a good Grenadier squad. It is at veterancy free, and it's got an MG42, but yeah, it seems like the Germans are really behind when it comes to the vehicle game. They do have a Command Panzer IV for Tobis, but that's not going to be enough. There's also a Lux on the field for Hooligan. Hooligan does have a Schwer Panzer headquarters set up and 160 fuel, so he might be going for a Panther or a Panzer IV. Time will tell, and yeah, both of those will be very, very helpful soon enough. However, it seems like the Raketenwerfers are also doing some good work, taking out the T-70 vet-free, but getting some nice responses in kind from the Katyusha. Katyusha might be able to it stopped firing. Looks like that was the last of the volley. Very, very lucky that Panzer IV, Pack 40 survived with only one little tiny sliver of health. It's got Vet 1, which means that it's got access to that target weak point, which is probably the most important ability for that Pack 40, because it does provide quite a lot of utility in stunning the enemy vehicles and allowing you to essentially finish them off. Raketenwerfer right here just being incredibly threatening little element. The Allies just can't seem to be dealing with this, and so they're going to try to do that with the artillery from the Su-76, which is kind of working out. The Raketenwerfer is going to have to sort of path back And right now, it seems like the Su-76 is kind of providing a lot of protection for the Allied units in the area. However, with 3 Su-76s on the field, Crossfire is in a very, very inflexible position. If the Germans come up with medium tanks and they manage to get a flank off on these Su-76s, it's not going to go well for Crossfire. He's going to have to rely on Layard's support, but Layard also, well, he's got a Katyusha, which is going to be working towards dealing with the support weapons, but he's also got a couple of T-34s coming in. So I feel like that's a kind of a mistake, because at this point he's at 13 CPs and almost at 14. So at 14 he does have the KV2 available, and as we all know, the KV2 is the strongest tank in the world. So if he could use the KV2 to good effect, he would definitely secure his position. Even though so far the Allies have been sort of coming back, they are still at a very, very weak situation when it comes to VPs. As you can see, the Germans are back again on the right side. These guys just can't stop recapturing these areas, and if they continue to do this, they're going to get another triple cap, although there is some harassment going on from these penals as well. So overall, the Allies really, their main problem is this VP situation. They need to do something about it. They need to be able to at least hold one of these VPs, and the crucial thing about that is that Layard does not have a tier 2, and Crossfire also does not have a tier 2, so they cannot build any support weapons, and they're having to kind of rely on vehicles to do that. That's very unfortunate, with those penals getting completely wiped out just a tiny second before they were able to capture the point. And yeah, it seems like we have a bit of a push coming in from the right side from Layard. He's got a lot of penals, but again, the penals are only of limited usefulness. When the Germans come back into this area, Layard's going to have to, you know, defend it somehow, and that's when he's going to really feel the lack of the machine guns and the anti-tank guns, especially if this Sure Panzer Quarter starts to produce something, which so far he isn't doing that, but still, it's kind of weird. I like what this Lux is doing, kind of. It's just kind of driving around, being a bit of a defensive, mobile defensive emplacement, in a way. It's just kind of driving around wherever it's needed, taking out some, well, not anymore. So, of course, 3 Su-76s, yeah, they will definitely take out the Lux in one shot. And now the 3 Su-76s very nicely destroying this tank gun. So the Allies using their temporary superiority when it comes to vehicles to excellent effect. And this is just kind of one of those things where, if the Germans at this point were going for something, and they had brought out some vehicles to bridge this gap to the late game, they would not be in such a terrible situation, essentially. But because they decided to sort of go for the maximum late game strategy, except for, of course, just the tiny Lux, at this point they're in a very, very bad way. And those satchel charges providing lots of support, destroying both the Raketenwerfers and a was that a Grenadier squad? No, it was an MG. At this point, while the Su-76s are able to escape with the destruction of the Sure Panzer quarters and all those weapons, the Axis are still in a good position when it comes to VPs. I mean, they're still able to capture the VPs, and because the Allies do not have any defensive units, they do not have any machine guns, they do not also have any mines set up around the VPs, this is just kind of a big problem, because if the Axis can just kind of keep recapping the VPs, then they're going to be in a very good spot, and especially with the Sturmtiger, can easily wipe out units capturing a point. So this could really be used as a deterrent for the Allies to not take, or even attempt to take points, or suicide units in the attempt, if they do get desperate enough to try to capture under the watchful eye of the Sturmtiger. So overall, not a good position to be in for the Allies, but also not a good position to be in for the Germans. I mean, Hooligan went for a Sturmtiger in a situation where, as you can see right now, we have an Elephant, we have a Sturmtiger, we have a few Raketenwerfers, and Raketenwerfers really are the only flexible units, along with, of course, the Volksgrenadiers, in the entire arsenal for the Germans. So if the yeah, I saw that coming a mile away, but clearly Layard didn't. Yeah, the Raketenwerfers plus the Volksgrenadiers are the only flexible units in this arsenal. Overall, the Allies have much more versatile of a composition. And again, it doesn't really matter if their entire infantry force just gets completely crushed by one Sturmtiger shell, and the Elephant is going to be very, very useful against these Su-76s. So overall, the Germans do have a bit of a chance if they can use their specialist units to their maximum potential. And their specialist units really need to be babysitted and protected at all costs, because if the Sturmtiger dies, or if even worse, the Elephant dies, at this point, the Germans aren't going to have a easy or happy time of it. Right now, yeah, as you can see, Mikhail over here is also thinking that this is going to be a little bit of a potentially dangerous situation, as there is a sniper just sniping across the center areas and going to force away those penals. On the left side, we have a bit of a Su-76 showdown, plus a few Raketenwerfers. A few Raketenwerfers that are going to be able to easily take out these Su-76s, but they blow their load on a tree. So essentially, the Su-76s are now in a good position to escape. T-34 is also taking some fire from the Elephant. At this point, the Elephant is really the king of the middle, and it's in a pretty good position. Still a little bit far away enough that it isn't going to be that easy for the Allies to flank it. That is really the key thing about the Elephant. It's really easy to flank it and make it useless if you get behind it. So what the Allies need to do right now is they need to push up with the infantry. Of course, the Elephant is very, very weak to enemy infantry. Ooh, that could be dangerous. Okay, didn't damage the engine of the Sturmtiger. And then after that, they can come in with their T-34 76s from some different angle and trying to take it out. Hopefully the infantry that goes into the Elephant can also kind of spot around and see if there's any Raketenwerfers that are hidden in the area, or any mines, perhaps. And that's going to be really the main thing, because if the Axis can defend this Elephant with infantry and mines along the flanks, and then have Raketenwerfers in the area, there's no way that the Allied vehicles can come in and dive into the Elephant without really severely putting themselves at risk. In fact, 3 T-34 76s plus 3 Su-76s, if they cannot dive into the Elephant, then they're going to be essentially just sitting ducks for it. So if the Elephant can... Ooh, excellent Sturmtiger shot once again. Up to 27 kills already. Taking out, once again, tons of penals and quite a few... Ooh, yeah, quite a few units there. Also, the Su-76 is going down. 2 of them at once. So that was courtesy of both the Elephant and the Raketenwerfers in the area. As I said, no way in which the Allies can approach this thing if it's supported. And if it isn't supported, then it's a sitting duck, and it's going to be really easy to take it out. And now, Layard is going for the KV2 after a little while. The problem with the KV2 right now is that it's up against 2 units that maybe not hard counter it. Well, the Elephant, yeah, does hard counter the KV2. And the Sturmtiger also kind of hard counters the KV2, because the Sturmtiger, basically, its only weakness is that it needs a little bit of an extra aiming time to set up its shot of like 5 seconds. So if a unit can be very mobile, it's never going to get hit by the Sturmtiger. But the KV2 needs to go into hold down mode to really be effective. So if the Sturmtiger is aiming at the KV2, then the KV2 is going to try to get out of hold down, which is going to take a few seconds of its own time, very precious time if you're getting aimed at by the big ass rocket. And by the time it's able to move, it's pretty slow, so the acceleration isn't going to be enough to keep it outside of the big rocket. So it's going to get hit by the big rocket pretty much nonetheless, regardless actually. And what that means is that it's going to get probably stunned. And once it's stunned, then other German units, such as the Elephant, can come in and just kind of smother it down, you know, and then finish it off. So overall, not the best thing. Right now, interestingly enough, the Elephant's trying to fire at the KV2 through the tree is not really working out for him. The KV2 put in a very good position, by the way. So Crossfire, or actually the Layard, very smartly put it behind some trees, because of course it can fire over the trees. That's going to be the main way in which it does damage, because it's well protected from enemy direct fire units such as the Elephant. And then it's going to be able to pretty much fire at any enemy infantry unit that is spotted around the center area with an excellent range when it gets to the become mobile. Not to become mobile, they become hold down. And what's even better is that you can also hide repair stations behind the area to keep it topped off, just in case. And there goes another Sturmtiger rocket. This time not as effective, just taking out 3 members of the Raketenwerfer crew. Of course, the Raketenwerfer crew is later going to be murdered by the Volksgrenadiers at close range. Volksgrenadiers, unfortunately, also getting a nice bit of things in return. On the right side, we still have this fighting going on, since It's a little back, and right now the Panzer IV command vehicle is really showing its might with that 75mm short barrel, destroying all the penals and preventing them from recapturing the point on the right side. The Allies are still down to 74 VPs, and the Germans are at 331. So that, plus the fact that they have managed to rebuild their, build their big heavy vehicles, means that they're right now in a good position, and they need to be able to, again, use their specialist units to maximum effect. There is a T-34-85 on the field for Crossfire, which is going to be helping out the mobile squad of the Allies as it charges into the Elephant. The Elephant right now is kind of pinned into a corner, as you can see, with the trees in the rear. The T-34s managed to get behind the AT gun and the Panzer IVs. They actually waste a lot of time, though, in shooting at the AT gun to prevent it firing into the rear, and that's going to give the Elephant just a few precious moments to escape. Penal Battalion throw a satchel charge actually on the Raketenwerfers, which is a very good idea instead of throwing it on the Elephant, because it takes out the Raketenwerfers, and the guards are coming in and not buttoning, but they're still providing some good damage, plus the marked vehicle on the Elephant. And the Elephant pops smoke, of course, from the fortified armor, and right now, for some reason, the Soviet tanks, instead of getting behind the Elephant and finishing it off, they retreat. So 2 T-34s go down into fighting, and the T-34-85 tries to come in to finish it off, but it goes down to the combined firepower of the Panzerschrecks and the Elephants. So overall, chaotic fight goes into the favor of the Germans. Despite a very, very good beginning for the Allies, the Germans were able to save the Elephant, use the Sturmtiger to kind of zone away the T-34s from the Elephant at the correct moment, because the reason why those T-34s retreated, I think, is because the Elephant was, or not the Elephant, the Sturmtiger was aiming at them. And then the Sturmtiger ended up, again, as you saw, kind of underestimated undershot. It shot way too close to itself and missed the T-34s. In the meantime, the KV2 was not able to come in to support the fight. So while the Allies do manage to seize control over the map, mostly, it seems, with their infantry, yeah, the Germans keep their big vehicles, and now they're also, basically they're going to lose all their Raketenwerfers, though. That's a very bad loss, because they're not going to have, again, their flexibility. Those were the flexible defensive units that were able to kind of just be a very good blocking detachment to prevent the enemy vehicles from charging in. And now they're using essentially all these wrecks to regain some of that fuel and get some vehicles out. The problem is that both sides are really lacking when it comes to, basically everything. Especially when it comes to mainline capping units. As you can see, 2 penals for Layard, just 1 Grenadier and 1 Panzer Grenadier for Tobes. 2 penals also, 2 penals and a guard squad for Crossfire, and then for Hooligan we have 3 Volksgrenadiers. So Crossfire and Hooligan being a little bit better off, but overall not a lot of capping power all around. The Allies are down to 53 VPs, and this makes it a very, 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 very risky situation to be in for the Allies, because again, they're left in a position where they don't have a lot of infantry, they don't have really any vehicles, and they don't have any, well, actually they do still have quite a bit of vehicles for Layard. And they're not really in a position to expand upon that all that much. They don't have a lot of resources in the bank. So if, again, the Germans can use their specialist units well, and they can keep these VPs under control, there's no question that they can win this game. Although, it seems like the Allies are just slightly ahead when it comes to vehicles. Like, as you can see, 2 T-34-76s plus a third one coming in for Layard, plus the KV2, plus the T-34-85 from Crossfire, means that the Elephant is really quite alone in this. I mean, the Panzer IV command tank can't really do anything to help out the Elephant versus the Soviet mediums. And the Sturmtiger can sort of do that, but it's very limited in the ability to do so. So overall, not the best position to be in for our Axis players, but they again have the infantry advantage, and they have those Raketenwerfers. They have the extra handheld AT from the Panzerschrecks, which has proven to be a very, very useful tool in dealing with the T-34 rampaging strategy. And right now they also have a sniper, which is useful in sneakily capping these points, as you can see. So I would still call it for the Germans, to be completely honest. If only for the VP situation. That is very, very much in their favor. And there goes a guard squad entirely. Yep, there goes the guard squad. So yet another success for the Sturmtiger. Sturmtiger really making me eat my words about Hooligans teching and early game, well, mid-game purchasing choices. It definitely seems very, very smart to wait for their Sturmtiger when the Sturmtiger performs this well. And, well, it's definitely a tribute to the good management of that unit from Hooligan. I myself don't think I would have been able to manage it as well, and a lot of players that I see using the Sturmtiger don't end up doing all that well with it, so I was kind of just a little bit afraid that the Sturmtiger would not end up having much of an impact. But because of the very, very great usage of the unit, yeah, the Germans were able to just kind of run away with the game. And ooh, speaking of big assault guns, there goes the Panzerschrecks from the KV2. Panzerschrecks, interestingly enough, managed to get all the way up to the KV2 without really anything happening. And the KV2 is just so far away from the action. As you can see, we have a push coming in from Layard, coming up the north with the T-34s, eating actually a mine, and then some Panzerfausts coming in from the Grenadiers means that most of these vehicles are going to get stuck in a very, very bad neighborhood. With the Schwer Panzer Headquarters plus the Sturmtiger, the Schwer Panzer Headquarters is trying desperately to produce a Jagdpanzer. It does not manage to do that, but the T-34s are going to die because of their insolence and trying to push up way too far ahead. Sturmtiger getting a nice double kill with the nice rocket, and one of the T-34s is limping away to safety, but it's in a very, very weak position with damaged engine. And in any case, with only 14 points left for the Allies, it isn't really going to be able to be repaired in time for it to have any impact. So a couple of satchel charges come in on the Panzer IV command vehicle might be the end of that unit. It does. However, again, the KV2 not really doing anything on the right side. It could help out in capturing the right side from the enemies. Of course, there's two T-34 85s on the field, so those can take out the Elephant. Not, however, if they do it so sloppily. I mean, they're trying to come in, but they're both going into the sort of line of sight and frontal area of the Elephant instead of trying to flank it. And Elephant very smartly using this little pond as a cover against enemy rushes, using it as a bit of a shield and preventing enemy movements with it. Of course, there's a bit of an S minefield on the right side VP, but it is, you know, it is worth to lose a couple of penals if you're not going to be losing the game because of it. Again, the KV2 really needed to be a little bit more proactive in its support of the Allied infantry. Right now, it seems like the KV2 has just been kind of left around in a safe position throughout the game. But the safe position not necessarily is always the most correct position. Sometimes you just need to go in and take some risks in order to actually provide your units with the support that they need to actually push into enemy areas, which is what the Allies were really lacking. They were sometimes able to push in, but then they weren't able to defend those areas. And in both of those areas, the KV2 is really an excellent tool for the Soviets. In fact, it's probably like the best area denial tool that they have, and it's definitely probably the most fun to use also. So you really need to use this vehicle to the maximum of its potential. It is 230 fuel and 630 manpower, so that means it's more expensive actually than the Sturmtiger. And the Sturmtiger this game, I would say, had a much bigger impact than the KV2 did. And right now, the Elephant is in trouble once again. Big T-34-85 push. However, very nice pushing in with the AT guns to cover it. There is a, pretty much surround coming in on the Elephant. Right now, the T-34s are spending pretty much about as much time trying to avoid the fire from these AT guns as they are spending time destroying the Elephant. The Elephant eventually goes down, and the Sturmtiger is trying to aim a nice shot, but it misses completely. So overall, pretty good engagement for the Allies, but right now they're in a pretty bad position when it comes to the VPs. Only 14 VPs left. However, the T-34-76 with Veteran C2 can actually use the capture mode, the secure mode, to capture some points. In the meantime, Breckenridge is trying to push up, and the T-34 needs to get the heck out of Dodge at this point because it's in a pretty bad position. It's in a pretty bad position where the Breckenridge can easily pound it to death, and yeah, it's gonna die. With the Pak-40 AT gun setting up, just slightly misses. Very, very lucky. And here comes a Katyusha barrage. Could be potentially devastating on the support weapons. So the Allies are still in this. They have a triple cap going against the Germans. However, as you can see, the Germans are pushing into the left side of the map, and there's no defenses in the area. The KV2 is just kind of sitting in a very, very inefficient position, and the Allied Axis are also capturing the right side with no Allied resistance, despite the fact that there's, you know, a KV2, two T-34s. At this point, you have to throw in vehicles without repairs if you're the Allies. You don't have the luxury of waiting for your vehicles to be repaired. They need to be in the fight. They need to be firing their weapons at the enemy, trying to prevent them from capturing these points. Because even just like 10 seconds of triple cap can be your doom. Even just basically half a minute of double cap can be your doom. And right now we have a triple cap coming in from engineers, Volksgrenadiers, and Panzer Grenadiers. So yeah, the Axis are going to take this because the Allies just, they have so many units. They have so many units. Look at this. Let's just count them very quickly. We have 2 Penals, full health. They could be in the fight right now. 2 T-34 76s, full health. They can be in the fight right now. Katyusha, well, it's in cooldown reloading. KV2 is so far away from where the action, or rather, during that entire kerfuffle, it was so far away from the action. Now it's close enough to be able to fire at the central VP area, or rather, right side VP area, and covering the T-34 76 as it captures the point. So good play over here with the T-34 76, managing to capture the center and then managing to capture the right side with the secure mode. However, is it worth putting like what 19 plus the pack's gonna be like, how much pop cap? 9, so like what, 28 plus the Su-85, which is 12, so 40 pop cap plus the T-34 76, which is 10, 50 pop cap. So more than half of your pop cap into one area, and most of that pop cap isn't even helping in capturing the point. I don't think it is worth it, especially when your ally is struggling to come up with the infantry to capture the center. And the fact that the KV2 really could have helped in actually kind of holding the center, because the center would not have been taken if the KV2 had just been standing guard here, just very simply. And at this point, there goes the Allied VPs. And yeah, that's just kind of very unfortunate. I mean, really kind of shows you the difference in activity between the big units of either side. Like, the KV2, pretty much more expensive than the Sturmtiger, but did less because it was simply used less. And the T-34 76s and the T-34 85s kind of having to carry the day on their own, it was not enough. At some point, T-34s really fall into the trap of their weak HP pool, and in this case it was with the pushes against the Elephant. The Elephant very well protected by the Germans. The Germans were able to very easily screen it, well, maybe not very easily, but very effectively screen it from advancing Allied tanks, and that's kind of what gave them the upper edge over the Allies, because they had that just slight superiority in those crucial engagements that allowed them to just slightly take away the lead in every single one of those engagements, and then have enough left over so that they could come in and recapture the VPs, and then have, of course, a VP advantage where they can eventually just win the game through VPs. And had that not happened, well, perhaps with a bit of a better use of the KV2, perhaps with a bit of a better use of support weapons, because we never had a back-tech to support weapons Campania for either of these Soviet players. Perhaps with a little bit more of an aggressive playstyle headed towards at least one of the sides, aimed at least capturing and holding that side for the entirety of the game in a stable manner. Had any of those things happened, the Allies would have had a much higher chance of winning this game. Even this way, it was very close. They still managed to take 250 VPs off the Germans, and then with the essentially engagements, they were giving the Germans a lot of trouble right up until the end. So overall, well played for both teams. I'm going to thank y'all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, please plop down a like. If you didn't, plop down a dislike. And as always, I'll see you soon.